Hi everybody. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about buzzing. Of course, this is a controversial topic. Some people buzz, other people don't. I would say most people do, about 90% in the trumpet world. I think even the 90% of us that do, most of us would say that it's not the same thing that we do on the trumpet. It's a little bit different. Resistance is different. There's obviously no piping attached to it. We're creating resistance ourselves. We're doing a little bit more here. It's all okay. It doesn't matter whether it's exactly the same as trumpet playing. Like Arnold Jacobs said, like a bunch of progress is made when we introduce strangeness into our practice and introduce different feelings. The visualizer, which I have on my stand at all times here, breathing devices, free buzzing, mouthpiece buzzing, lead pipe buzzing. These are all calibrating and swinging back and forth, trying to find the correct balance for playing the trumpet in the easiest way. You can think of it as the mouthpiece is kind of a perfect example of throwing weights on the end of a baseball bat. They swing the bat 3 or 4 times with the weights, take the weights off, and then really ease into it a little bit more so. It also checks your intonation if you're buzzing an etude or something like that. And for today's purpose, this is what I would do in the beginning of the day with the mouthpiece to check evenness of buzz and consistency into the low register, from the mid to low register. Normally I would do this with a piano, which I need to get in my studio here, but this is a brand new studio of a week old. So I'm going to grab a piano here in the next couple weeks, but for now I'm just going to give myself some pitch centers from Tonal Energy, okay? Oddly enough, Tonal Energy piano does not have a piano sound. Tell me if you find it. I went through all the sounds. There's every instrument sound, but not piano. So we're going to go with the drone sounds, which is fine. So I'll kind of stop there for right now, and we'll do it a second time with no break. It's slower to start, and you can take a breath. I do it through my nose to not reset. And then I'll do it again to cover more ground in one breath to assure that I'm playing in a consistent, even set, getting good vibration through all registers. Okay, so that's obviously a little extreme. We're going down to the pedal register. I try to go as low as possible and try to resist the temptation to collapse. So I'm resisting that temptation to let, because the second everything becomes loose, you no longer have the system to vibrate. What needs to be loose is right inside the mouthpiece and not the stuff on the corners and sides of the mouthpiece. That's a kind of a balancing act to figure that out. I sometimes, this is a little bit tangential here, but I sometimes do this thing, I've never talked about this really to many people, but disassociation of the corners and the chops. So I'll do something like, so I'll make sure I can go all the way down into like a low pedal trombone sound, keeping the corners firm. And then when I go to the trumpet, Doesn't feel like much work to do. Of course, I let it go there for the doubles, but that's the idea. And when you have this nice fluid connection, hopefully I'm not going to kill my mic here, but commitment to just blowing through the mouthpiece. I'm not playing very loud. You probably can't tell, but it's kind of like mezzo piano volume. A lot of people buzz the mouthpiece really loudly, and I think that just spreads your aperture, makes you overblow, and then you end up with an airy buzz, which doesn't yield a lot of vibration. Air going through our chops and rushing through our chops isn't making the sound. The vibration is making the sound. It's being amplified through the trumpet, right? The air doesn't make any sound. Air doesn't make the sound. Okay, so the easier, the more fluid, the more connected you can buzz into the low register, in my opinion, then you can trust your whole system and it will work in the low register, the high register, and all of a sudden you'll feel those slots on the instrument, which sometimes if you're doing slurs and you're hearing and you're kind of smoothly getting from one note to the next, that means that you're playing incorrectly, in my opinion. You should be able to without going. I'm not saying that every slur you ever play should be slotted, but from a technical point of view, that should be the basis of how you play the trumpet, and then you shade from there, because that's the most efficient way, that's the most slotted way, that's the most centered way, that will be the most in tune way. And then when you play that way, okay, say you're trying to play your G above the staff less sharp, right? You want to know where that slot is naturally, and then you can change your tongue position slightly. I have no idea where I'm pitch-wise. Amazingly, I didn't have to lift down at all. I mean, and that's the other thing, is that you'll learn that the trumpet is a lot more in tune than you suspect it is when you start playing in the slots where they're supposed to be. Yes, there are some pitch problems, but a lot fewer than you think. You'll create more pitch problems manipulating and playing with too much tension, sharp, or spreading in the low register, flat, whichever one is. We're creating most of those pitch problems. The trumpet is pretty in tune, usually. You know, there's a couple notes that we have to fight a D here, or a high C there, or a G above the staff there. Yeah, F sharp, G. We all battle with those, right? We have to have a strategy for, alternate fingerings. I practice a lot. For different situations, sometimes you have to enter with a slide out, if it's a soft entrance and you really don't want to soar sharp. I don't know, maybe if you have perfect technique, you don't have to do that. I sometimes need to do that to assure that I'm not soaring. So anyways, I've digressed, but the basis of this pyramid is this smooth, fluid mouthpiece buzz into the low register. And when that is even and clear and under control, your base of your pyramid takes you up, and you're going to access the slots in the most efficient way of playing. So I hope this is helpful. That's how I buzz the mouthpiece. That's the first thing I do. Of course, I do a couple of other drills that are a little more challenging. Maybe I'll do those in the next video. But this first drill of all into the pedals. If you can connect that in one breath from G down to a pedal C, you're in pretty good shape for the rest of the register, because that's where our partials are spaced out the most in the low register. G down to low G, let's just say low G for now, but G down to pedal C, the space gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you can navigate those efficiently, then the space from a G in the staff to, a high C, which is proportionately, like in terms of slotting, proportionally closer together, all this stuff takes care of itself. If you get this stuff down, I heard Tom Hooten say this great quote. I believe it was Tom. He said, like, yeah, it was in like a New World Symphony mosaic thing. I think he said, players sometimes want to grow the trees out and bigger and taller and wider and, more pyrotechnics. But really what you need to do is, grow the tree down into the ground, make the roots go deeper, make the skyscrapers, fundamental base even more sturdy so that you could build higher. So a lot of times the most important thing you can take care of is the low range and the fundamentals in that register, and then everything that you build on top of it will proportionately or exponentially grow in efficiency as well, just as a side effect from your sound playing in the low register. That's at least how it's worked for me, and that's all I can tell you. So I hope you enjoy this, and let me know what you think.